So we're here with Dana Ennis from the Urban Conservancy. Hi, Dana.
Hi.
So let me just start by saying, thank God for New Orleans.
No kidding, huh? All it takes is 24 hours.
Yeah, and I had 36. So, as you know, I'll be asking you a few questions, and you can answer them in any way that you like. So, how old are you?
44.
Double fours. You know, 8's a very lucky number in Asian societies.
I hope so.
And your political orientation is?
I guess I'm a registered Democrat. I would describe myself as progressive.
Okay. How about religion or religious affiliation? Do you have one?
Raised Lutheran, non-practicing.
Okay. And your job title or titles here in New Orleans?
I am the executive director of the Urban Conservancy.
Great. And can you talk about how you see your role in this community?
Yes. I mean, Urban Conservancy, from the professional point, we manage the state local program. That's our flagship initiative. That's, our Independent Business Alliance here in New Orleans. More broadly than that, though, I came to that through my role as just a citizen of New Orleans, somebody who came from some other place and saw things that New Orleans had that a lot of places have lost along the way. And so, I see myself as just a resident of the city, a mother of kids who are going through the public school system here, and a homeowner, and, my role is much broader than my professional affiliation.
Sure. Can you talk about your relationship with the local independent community here?
Well, one of the things that drew me to my day job, which is always secondary in New Orleans. Nobody really cares about your day job. It's what your avocation is. But it was the fact that what you have here are these thriving little hubs of commercial activity in residential areas. And I was immediately drawn to that as just a consumer, a person who walked around and did her stuff, on a Saturday morning. And then I have been able to parlay that into a more formal relationship with the state local, and really being their advocate and their champion, and celebrating them and helping them realize their own values. So that's been great.
Great. If the local independent community in New Orleans were an animal, what animal would it be and why?
Okay, all the good ones have been taken. New Orleans were an animal. But you weren't going to ask this one. I would have to say that it is a dog of some sort. I'm not going to narrow it down to a breed, but a dog that is, because it is, it wants to be happy and playful and social, and is very eager to please. That's my experience with it. They want to figure out creative ways to give back and be a part of something larger than themselves. So I think of dogs like at a park or something, all running around together playing.
Cool. So let's talk about, obviously, when you and I got in touch, I told you it was really important for me not to come here and be exploitative of the stories in New Orleans. Obviously, Katrina is shaped basically everything that's happened here, it seems, over the last couple of years. But you had an interesting take on that earlier when we were talking. And I wonder, instead of answering a question, if maybe you just talk about that a little bit.
The fact that people still have a lot to process. I mean, so much happened, and it wasn't just sort of an intense 3 days or an intense 12 hours or something. It's been an intense 3 years, and now we're going on our 4th year. And there is a Katrina fatigue that New Orleanians recognize as they travel, and they get, the sense that people are tired of hearing about it. Certainly within their inner circle, people are tired of hashing over things, but there still is a need to process and to talk things through. And so I think that people are still happy to have somebody who is genuinely hearing this stuff for the first time, and it gives them an opportunity to, and as you move through from the immediate to 4 years down the road, your perspective is changing. So you constantly kind of need to sort of touch base and see, continue to think that through, understand where you are now as opposed to where you were then.
Mm-hmm. And building on that, I talked to 3 business owners today, all of whom were basically pioneers in bringing their business back into the community. Now, your organization is organized over 1,700 businesses in New Orleans. Can you talk about how the independent local businesses here have viewed their role over the last 3 years?
A lot of what you saw in Gentilly, for example, is that if I build it, they will come. In that willingness to step out and build their whatever, their bakery, their restaurant, their art gallery, whatever it is, in a pretty unlikely place, and have faith that by being there, they can instill confidence in others in rebuilding in that same area. So, like this chicken and egg syndrome of businesses and residents sort of being in a standoff waiting to see, well, is this viable? If I move back there, will the services be there? And the business is saying, well, let me see if the residents will come back, then I will. But it's those folks that are stepping out, and the folks that you talked to today, and said, I'll be the first, and let's see what comes. And inevitably, they're right. That's what they found, and it's continuing to happen. So they're building something.
So let's see. We're kind of going in a different course because I wanted to ask you some different questions. What do you think the rest of the country, in terms of the local business communities around the country, can learn from what's happened here in the last 3 years?
There's nothing special about New Orleans' experience other than it happened to us in a big, big way. But every community will have its Katrina, whether it's a subprime mortgage meltdown that affects their housing stock and their population in that way, economic job loss, you name it, factory closing, tornado. Everybody is going to have their Katrina, and we've had it in such a big way that we really, really get it when we say, our people within the local economy movement say, place-based businesses, because they're both emotionally as well as financially invested in the place itself, that geographic place, will come back first when we need them most. And that's why we need to invest in them in the good times, because they'll also be back for us in the bad times when we really, really need them to resume our lives.
So building on that, what one lesson or piece of advice could you share from your experiences here, specifically around the last 3 years of rebuilding in New Orleans?
This is very cliche for New Orleanians. Don't wait for the cavalry. Don't wait for help. Don't wait for government. Don't wait for the bailout. Just do it. Build your internal resources when you have the time to do so that you can rely on them when you need them.